You're listening to the Bingo Hall Boys, a weekly podcast where we highlight and discuss the current independent professional wrestling scene. This week, we'll be discussing the 2022 Battle of Los Angeles, the announced lineup for the 2022 Best of Super Junior, and it's another game time. Jake and Mitch are going to fantasy draft. My name is Jake.
I'm Mitch.
Mitch, how's your week, man?
Not bad. Weather's getting really nice out here. It's nice and warm. Wind's finally settling down, so I'm getting some good disc golf rounds in during the day. It's been nice.
There you go. We hired a lawn mowing service for the last 2 years or so because I was working like 55 hours a week, and just the idea of like any of that, I'm like, I can't do. So now that I've got Fridays off, I'm like, dude, I'm geeked. I get to mow my lawn again. Let's see how long I stay excited for that. But I was able to get off work early and do that today before prepping the show. So felt good, man. It felt really good. Just nice being outside again. Even though I've got really bad allergies, dude. That takes its toll. But do you watch anything good this week besides wrestling?
Not really, no. No, I've picked up the new Scream. Still haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I'm excited to finally see it, but...
Oh, it's good. Did you stay spoiler free?
I am 100% spoiler free still.
We're gonna have to cover that on next week's show.
Yeah, there's
not a lot
much else.
Hey, I'm down to talk all 5 Scream movies if you want to. I just before the newest one came out, I was like, I haven't seen those in a while, and I had never seen 4 before, so I just shotgunned them all within the span of a week, and I really like whodunits, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not too many movies like that.
No, I liked 4. 3 would definitely be my least favorite so far, but
because I think a lot of people were being like, play devil's advocate and be like, no, actually 3's really good. I'm like, you're insane. It's like Parker Posey's movie, and then once she's not in it, it's like, I got nothing for you. But anyway, we can kill a lot of time next week. We got some stuff to jump into.
We
so
do.
You want to go ahead and jump into Bola?
All right, Bola. First up, overall thoughts on the event as a whole.
There were some reports going into this. Now, granted, this happened like at the end of January.
Mm-hmm.
So at the time, we only know like who wrestled, who won, and some minor stuff coming out of it. But there was like, people were really upset. They were like, the fans on this first night were really bad. Were really, really bad. And even the second night, they were really unruly. I don't know if I've ever seen a PWG crowd like that aggressive for like no reason. Like it's not just like, cheering for the underdogs, the unknowns. It was a lot of like fuck you energy, and I don't know. It gave off bad vibes.
This was like the worst parts of the god-awful Full Sail NXT crowd and the worst parts of like the GCW crowds, and they just kind of threw them into one, and that's what came out. Night 1 was definitely worse. Night 2 still started off bad. I'd say by the time we get to
I think
the
people
semi-final matches, it starts to get a little better.
So I know for a fact after the match where someone got hurt, Excalibur got on the microphone and was like, hey, you need to cut that shit out. We don't do that here. And I think those people were removed from the venue. And so the tone after that, that felt like a normal indie crowd, specifically a PWG crowd.
Yeah, no, they're definitely, and again, that's not like, it was not the entire crowd, but the part of the crowd that was awful was very, very vocal, and it ruined a lot of it, really.
I mean, you've got a bunch of, that place was packed.
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen that theater so packed, which good for them. COVID is essentially over. So the fact that they were going to fill that place out, but then again, whenever you pack a concert venue and give all of them a pitcher of beer in their hand,
hmm
bad stuff's going to happen.
And I was reading, someone was talking about that, and their theory was, back in the Reseda Legion, like, sure, it was packed and everybody was, having some beers, but it was such a small venue that there was no anonymity with it. Like, if you were the dumbass saying the stupid thing, you were easy to spot. That was not a big building. Now in the Cedar, you get in kind of the upper decks. It's easy to be that guy and go undetected.
My other big picture thought kind of ties in with that, where bolas in the past that were in the Legion Hall in Reseda, you could tell it was hot as hell in there.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like the wrestlers would just be like, they'd be gassed, but they'd still be going. And even like the fans would just be like, you could tell like the heat was oppressive. Cause I think this is the first non 3-night event in like a decade or something like that. I think the last one that was 2 nights had like Finley and like Kevin Steen in it, which was pretty fun. But going into it, I was a little worried whenever I saw the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, this is not a star-studded lineup by any means. But as it like kept going, I was like, okay, I dig this. This is really, really cool. And the fact that, and we'll get to it, the fact that it didn't end in a single elimination 3-way, and it was just a straight up match, so much better.
Yes.
So much better. And that totally helped with the flow of things. And the fact, it's kind of hard whenever you've got that third show is always such a slog. I don't know how many of them you've watched, but it's just like night 1 and night 2, it's like it's 8 matches and it's like a specialty tag. And then the third night is just like quarterfinals, semifinals, finals. Yep. And it's just people wrestle like 3-4 times. Like it's a lot. But anyway, that said, I think overall, I really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah, with that said, let's get into it. Night 1 is all first round matchups. No yep. Specialty tags, very straightforward. So eight first round matches. We kick off with the, I don't want to call it the token lucha match, but the lucha versus lucha match with Aramis going over Rey Horus to advance. Decent little way to open the show. Aramis is a guy that shows up in PWG a lot. Mm-hmm. Not maybe one of my favorites, but also not someone that I'm, going to be upset that he's in a tournament or anything like that. Just not someone who typically moves the dial for me a ton.
Yeah, I did not expect Aramis to get the win. I thought Rey Horus was going to be moving forward for sure. And like you said, going into this, Aramis is just kind of fine. I think out of the two, I prefer Rey Horus more. I really like this match a lot. The finish to this was that top rope Blue Thunder Bomb. That was amazing. Hell of a way to start the show off. Yeah, I really like this match a lot.
Yeah, second on the card, we get not yet in the Blackpool Combat Club, Wheeler Yuta going over Blake Christian. This was weird to watch, knowing where Yuta is now. Like, I mean, it was an awesome match. It was just weird knowing how Yuta's characters developed since this was filmed in AEW to watch this and see this version of Yuta again. It was a great match, but it was just a little weird, and I had to kind of wrap my head around, like, hey, where is Yuta right now? Like, what was he doing at this time? But yeah, fun match. I'm really quite enjoyed it. Blake Christian fits in well with the PWG scene, because he definitely can do a lot of fun spots. So yeah, I liked it.
So originally, this was supposed to be Jonathan Gresham versus Davey Richards.
Yeah.
But neither guy could make the trip. So enter Blake and Utes. These two really didn't have great chemistry. I know I sounded pretty down on Blake Christian after last week's episode. I think I figured out what it is. Blake Christian in shorts, nothing for me. Blake Christian in tights, like the full length tights, that's a look. I don't know. The match itself was fine. I'm really glad we got on the ground floor with Yuta. And Blake Christian's going to be one of those guys where it's just like, I will guarantee he'll be on every single PWG show until he gets signed somewhere. He's only going to get better and better with more exposure.
Third up in the battle of recently released, Buddy Matthews goes over Jonah. I'm still not a Jonah guy, and this match has not changed that. I'm still just not a Jonah person.
Yeah. I think Jonah's a tag team guy for sure. So the fact that Shane Haste and him are basically a tag team, I think that's going to do both guys a lot of wonders. That said, I liked Jonah in this match. It just felt a little clunky. And honestly, I don't think I'm a Buddy Matthews guy. He talked up a big game in WWE where it was like where he was basically like New Japan in an Australian guy. I watched one match and it was like in the span of 10 seconds, he did an Omega move, an Ibushi move, and then Ishii brainbuster. And I was like, okay, none of that's on accident, my dude. Like you're aping people for sure. I don't know. The closing stretch where they started making WWE references was pretty rough for me. Yeah. I think I kind of like it whenever someone in PWG does that or on the indies does that before they go to WWE. So like they made the announcement that they're going, but they're still like fulfilling obligations. And then they do the WWE references like the Roman Reigns fisting thing. That stuff is like fun for me, but it's like whenever it's like two guys that just got cut, I'm like, that feels weird. And the crowd hated it. Absolutely hated it. Which Buddy rolls into later, but yeah, I don't really blame you for not being a big Jonah guy. I think that is just kind of what it is. I'm hoping that it gets better, but like I said, now that he's in a tag team with Shane Haste, I wouldn't mind Jonah and Shane Haste against what are they called? Kings of the Black Throne for the PWG tag team titles. Malachi Black and Brody King. That would be a fun match, but yeah, Jonah as a singles guy, there's pretty limited returns on that.
All right. Match number 4 on the night, the battle of the unfortunate car crash victims, which is just awesome that they're both already wrestling at this level again. Daniel Garcia going over Kevin Blackwood. They definitely, I can't remember. I feel like Excalibur made reference to the car crash in both of them.
No, he did. He covered it.
I mean,
yeah, they slid
it gets
on
mentioned
black
a lot,
eyes,
so I kind of forget where it all gets mentioned. But yeah, this felt like it really kicked things off for me. Like Jonah and Matthews was kind of blah. Yuta and Christian was fun, and I mean, I'm not huge on Aramis, so this match was where it felt like Bola really started for me. This is also, I mean, I was already fed up with the crowd, but this is also where I got really fed up with the crowd because I was getting my real Bola match, and that god awful crowd could not keep their mouths shut for more than 20 seconds without saying something stupid. So
yep.
That said, the match itself I really liked.
Excalibur mentioned on commentary their accident, and I'm like just wanted to take a quick moment to say I'm really proud of those dudes for putting in the incredible work to now be able to face each other in a Battle of Los Angeles. Like that's a huge career milestone, and I'm sure that there were times where both guys felt like they were like that was just never going to happen. They work really well together, which should surprise no one who's familiar with them. I'm sure that they've grappled countless times. Really impressive win from Garcia. This is probably the best Kevin Blackwood match I've seen in a while.
Yeah.
A lot of his indie matches seem very kind of toned down from what they should be. I want to see Kevin Blackwood whenever he's done with a series of matches with Davey Richards. I want to see him be a lot more aggressive, kind of like how Daniel Garcia is now, where it's just like he is very aggressive. He's earned the nickname Red Death. I want to see Kevin Blackwood have that same sense of like dangerousness to him. I think that would do wonders for him. But yeah, awesome match.
Number 5.
This next match,
Lio Rush going over Jack Cartwheel. What'd you think of this one?
I don't like Lio Rush. Like I just don't. He's never really been a guy that clicked for me. Like that said, I'm not a big fan of the guy, but some people in this crowd hated him. And I'm like, I don't get it. And I mean, if you're familiar with these two guys, you see those names, Leo Rush, Jack Cartwheel, and you're just like, okay, very serious match, no flips at all. It's just going to be very technical, submission heavy. They were flying all over the place. It was fine. I honestly probably would have liked to have Jack Cartwheel get the win. I don't know if I'm a booker on any level, I wouldn't feel comfortable with Leo Rush.
I think I mean, looking at even just the past few months, how Jack's kind of started to really come into his own.
Mhm.
I If Bolo was in April or May, I think Jack might have won over Leo. I
Sure.
being earlier and when it was, I think there was still a little bit of, well, let's see who Jack really is first, and this was kind of like an extra try. I know he's done PWG before, but like another kind of real tryout. So I think a few months later, Jack might have won this match. I don't mind Leo. I enjoy watching him now and again. So I like the match. It was fast paced, good enough. Yeah, the crowd was really not as impolite as they're going to get towards Leo throughout the weekend, but it was starting to get up there.
Yeah, I don't know. I have nothing but bad things to say about that crowd. Can I ruin the way that you look at Jack Cartwheel?
I mean, I don't know if it's possible because
It's
there are things I'm critical of for him, but like,
no, it's his look.
oh,
Jack Cartwheel looks like what Thrill Seeker Lance Storm would be if he broke into wrestling right now instead of like back then. It's like I saw it and it like popped in my head and I couldn't unsee it. I'm like, oh my God, that's literally like Lance Storm working the Young Bucks style where I want to see what's next for Jack. I have no idea what that's going to look like. But I'm here for it. And we'll get to Leo Rush as he moves on since he won the match.
Step Black Taurus goes over JD Drake in what can be described as the Haas fight of the first round.
Hell yeah. Oh, wait. I don't know. Leo Rush is a pretty big hoss.
I mean, Buddy Matthews ain't a small guy. There's an argument Buddy Matthews and Jonas, the Haas match. Buddy is huge. How that guy was ever on a show called 205 Live, I'll never know. Like, it's enormous. But the real Haas match was Taurus and JD Drake. Pretty much, match was pretty much what you'd expect. I mean, Taurus did a couple kind of high-ish spots, but for the most part, it was just, two big meaty men slapping meat. Taurus can go, JD Drake can go. I understand why Taurus got the win. I love JD, so I would have loved to have seen him get a second match in the tournament, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I was really shocked that the AEW guy lost. That really kind of threw me for a loop here. That said, like the match itself was super physical. It went a little long, but I liked it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And both guys were really impressive because PWG is an indie that's all about work rate. So it's kind of hard whenever you have a Haas match to still do the work rate, which is probably why whenever we were talking about Jonah, it's just like, I don't know if he's a fit in a work rate promotion unless he's just like really going out there. That said, these guys went above my expectations for what it was going to be. I thought if any match was going to be slow and plodding on this card, it would be that.
All right, 7 of 8. Alex Shelley goes over Tiger Style. Lee Moriarty. I don't know, was Lee signed at this point?
Yes.
Okay.
I think he's still on like a developmental deal though. I don't think he's like a full blown all elite person. I don't know if he's on their roster page.
He's on the roster page. He got the graphic.
Oh, then yeah.
He
Another AEW guy losing. This is where I lost it with the crowd. Like, I don't get why some dorks in this crowd were yelling "fuck you" at either one of these guys. It was weird. Like, I get that people don't like Shelley coming in and, him beating Gresham and then facing Bandito was like, that was pretty jarring, but it was still like a solid 2-month story. So the fact that they were really taking that on him, I don't think was very fair, but he was working heel. So
he did try to play the heel in the match again. Like I said, his actual antics in the match certainly did not warrant that much heel heat. So there
No.
were clearly some hurt feelings from some members in the crowd that had nothing to do with the match itself. And
I mean, I don't know if Shelley comes back, to
I
be honest.
I wouldn't blame him. I mean, it
No,
took
like I don't
right
know
out
if
of
he's
the
getting the call.
match.
I think that might just be a mutual like, let's wait a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a very technical match, which isn't unexpected whenever you see this on paper, especially with Lee Moriarty. Alex Shelley's a very technical wrestler, and I think a lot of people see him and they're like, "Oh, Motor City Machine Guns." He's like acrobatic, does a lot of aerial stuff, and it's like, no, he can, but like he's in the point of his career where he's very technical now, and I think I like this version of Shelley more than the Detroit style.
Yeah, I definitely like this version of Shelley better. Nothing wrong. I mean, Motor City Machine Guns were obviously very important in the history of that style of wrestling, but I do like the Shelley better.
So before we get into the main event, are you familiar with the legend of Philip Five Skulls?
No.
I can't remember when it was, but someone replied to a PWG tweet and they were like, "Why do you book superstars and you don't book like local talents like Philip Five Skulls?" Like, just make it up a name.
yes.
And so whenever they were announcing the lineup for Bola, they were like, and the 15th entrant is Philip Five Skulls. And people were like, yo, what? Who's? And they're like, oh, unfortunately, he's retired from wrestling. So instead, taking his place is the return of Speedball Mike Bailey. Was this Bailey Bandito match better than the Super Show match on Mania weekend?
I think I liked it better.
Yeah, that was my match of Mania weekend, and I think I like this one more. And that might have just been because it was Speedball's return and the crowd was really into it. And whenever that crowd is really into it, they loved both guys. So I think the atmosphere definitely elevated this to a whole other level. What do you think about the match itself?
Phenomenal. We keep talking over and over and over, beating a dead horse that Mike Bailey's currently the wrestler of the year. And then we get to add this Bola weekend on top of that.
I mean,
we hadn't even seen this yet.
Right. Yeah. We missed like his first 3 matches of the year.
2 1/4. We'll get there.
It counts. It counts.
There was a 3 count.
There was a lot of selling pre-match.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I'd count it.
But yeah, absolutely phenomenal match.
I loved it. It's definitely my match of the weekend. I want these two to have a rubber match at some point this year. I don't know if that's going to happen in PWG. A heel turn for Mike Bailey might be really, really fun. So doing that against Bandito would be a really cool dynamic, considering these two had 2 excellent matches against each other. Kind of throwing, a little spice in there for the rubber match would be a lot of fun.
Can we just make sure it's not on a GCW show? That about wraps up night 1 for Bola.
Yep.
So getting into night 2, we go through our second round matches, our quarterfinals, semifinals. Then there's the multi-man with the guys that didn't advance, and then the finals. So kicking off the second round, continuing with the Lucha on Lucha trend, Black Taurus goes over Aramis. No surprise at the outcome here. Taurus obviously wrestled a little more closer to a Lucha style than a hard-hitting match, knowing the difference in opponents. Again, I'm not crazy about Aramis, but he did look really good here, so I enjoyed it. Crowd still continues to annoy me at this point in the show. That's just becoming a long-standing theme. Actually, at the start of this show, they might have been annoying me even a little bit more than night 1, but I might have just been over it at that point, so it's hard to say if they were actually worse or not. I don't know, but match itself was a good way to open the show.
Yeah, I'll say this about Aramis. I touched on a little bit whenever we talked about his first round upset against Rey Horus. I wasn't really that big on him coming into it, but dude, I think he totally converted me into being a fan of his. I was very impressed with how naturally him and Taurus work together. Like you said, Black Taurus working a lucha style is everything I've wanted out of him. He would work kind of a Haas style against other guys and just didn't really do anything for me. This rules. Black Taurus should be heavily featured somewhere, and it's a shame that he's not. The dude is like mid 30s. I think he's like 35, I think 35,
Something like
36.
that, yeah.
And he's an absolute blast to watch. Like, this dude is in the prime of his career. Book him. Like, do something. He should be the monster. He literally is a monster.
I can't remember what stable it is that he's aligned with, but he is under some type of a deal with Impact right now. I wouldn't say he's heavily featured there, but he's definitely like he's in the shows. I'm not as critical of what they're doing to him as how badly they're using Mike Bailey right now. But
I mean, I guarantee you, Taurus isn't doing stuff like this in Impact.
there was one match where it was reasonably close to this. I forget who he was fighting, but there was one match where he showed out like this, and it was really, really fun to watch. Just the one, but there was one
out of the 6. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't. I mean, a lot of them are the typical multi-man things and monthly taping cycles, so not as many opportunities. But yeah, match 2, I guess. Fitting that Shelley is an accidental super heel at this point because he is losing to Red Death Daniel Garcia, who I don't know if he's playing a babyface or a heel in the tournament at this point. He's just playing himself, and that just kind of gets over as a babyface. Whether or not it's supposed to be, yep. I still really don't know. But Shelley again, definitely the heel. So
yeah, Shelley was 100% the heel, and I think Daniel Garcia is just out there as an ass kicker. And the crowd's like super into it. Cause I mean, we'll even get into it in the main event. I mean, he even cut a babyface promo after the show. Did you see the match that they had against each other in Beyond last year?
No, I didn't.
We'll cover it on next week's episode since it's such a light week. Back in early October, these guys had a 21-minute match against each other. Super technical, ton of fun. I like that one a lot more than this one. This one, it just took way too long to get going. About halfway through the match, I want to say, maybe a little bit less than that, they hit another gear and the match took off, and it was really fun from there out.
Yeah.
As a whole, to kind of wrap up Alex Shelley on the indies this year is a mixed bag, and I don't hate it. It's just different. Like I said, I think it's just a different guy than what people might be expecting. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add on to that.
I mean, going with the different guy theme, this is the first time I've really noticed, and it's partially Daniel Garcia is not the biggest guy, but Shelley definitely put some time in over COVID. He's bigger than he used to be. Like there's some more muscle on that frame, which does go with kind of the change in styles. It makes sense. Just it's kind of, this was the first match where I really noticed. Was like, hey, he's bigger than I remember. Like
the not so teenage bottle rocket.
Yeah, pretty much.
This is
where the crowd hits its peak of awful. Few things happened. Lio Rush defeats Buddy Matthews by disqualification. Yes, I read that correctly, by disqualification. That was 100% not the plan for the finish. Zero chance in hell. No. So I forget. I watched the match of few days ago. I've already forgotten the move, but Buddy Matthews hits a big move on Leo. Leo comes.
Seth Rollins' curb stomp.
Oh, was it on a curb? Of course, it was on a curb stomp.
It was curb stomp onto a chair.
Yeah. So Buddy Matthews hits a curb stomp. They were definitely ramping up for the finish at this point in the match. Like I think it was getting towards the ending sequence or kicking it off.
No, it's supposed to be the end. I think he was supposed to hit the curb stomp, transition into something else, and then Lio Rush was going to get, I'm guessing, a roll up to protect Buddy.
Something. Leo was supposed to win this match all along. That was always the plan. So Buddy Matthews.
Well, I mean, even before this, so whenever the match started, or before the match started, Buddy grabs a mic and cuts a promo and calls PWG the minor leagues, amongst other things. And fans started throwing drinks at him, like full ass drinks.
One of them clipped Leo in the head.
Yeah, it was
on the way to the ring. Are
you serious?
Yeah, I watched the second drink. It clips Leo in the head on the way into the ring. Because Leo was just kind of like sitting perched on the top rope doing like the pose, like, yeah, run your mouth. I've been there too. Like, I know what it's about. You're full of shit. Like, Leo was absolutely playing the face there. And yeah, one of the dumbass fans threw a drink into the ring, clips Leo in the head on the way in. And that is where I get so fucking frustrated with and this is a problem through North American sports culture in general. This is not limited to pro wrestling. There's this narrative you read all the time. I paid my money for my ticket. I can do whatever I want. And that is a load of crap. And I hear it all the time. And it's used to defend the idea of like booing or heckling someone if they screw up. Like,
no, it's an excuse to say something shitty and get away
like,
with it.
Yeah, they use it as a masquerade of I can boo who I want. I paid my ticket.
And that's at best.
Yeah. That's best case scenario. That does not give you the right to go like try and ruin someone's life or start throwing shit at them. I realize it happened with Hulk Hogan when he joined the NWO. Congratulations. It's 26 years later. Have we not figured out
and it's during a Buddy Matthews promo on an indie.
Have we not figured out we shouldn't throw things in the ring? Like it's no different than people throwing shit on the ice in hockey. I understand the hats for the hat trick and the goal celebrations. That still gets borderline when it's octopuses and live rats, but that's whole again 1996 flashback.
Yeah.
Detroit, Florida Panthers. Let's go.
I don't know which. When I think hockey, I think Florida.
They might win the cup this year.
Yeah,
to the one Canadian listener, Florida might win the cup, and I've been calling that team for a while now. So
didn't they just win last year?
God, no, Tampa won.
Are you talking about Florida
Panthers? Yeah, not the Tampa Bay Lightning. Just come on, I'm Canadian here. There's more than one Florida team. There's almost more.
Unfortunately,
there's almost more Florida teams than Canadian teams.
Is that not insane?
It's absolutely
because again, when I think hockey, I think of Florida,
absolutely USA. Right. But like, yeah, it frustrates me to no end, this culture of I paid my money, I have my ticket, I can do what I want.
And it's one thing to chant stuff because PWG crowds are they're very vocal. That can be good and bad.
Yeah.
But whenever you start throwing stuff at people, and it's not like empty like water bottles or whatever,
these were full drinks.
Those were full drinks. There's like ice all over the place.
Was it Knox reffing this match? I can't remember.
No, it was the Bowl Cut bro.
It was Knox or Elvis. I wasn't sure. They only had the two, but
no, it was the third one. So there's Knox, Justin, and then
Frank Gastineau, the old AEW ref. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah. Gastineau's literally like picking ice out of the ring.
He was terrible. He was actively bad during this tournament.
I think there's a reason he's no longer involved with AEW, and he's not a great referee.
No. But yeah, the match itself, it was fine.
Yeah.
But the fact that they had I don't know, the whole vibe just really killed.
I don't know what they actually yelled to Leo after this, like after all the beers at Buddy and that. It was something racist. I don't know if they messed with the audio on the Blu-rays. I couldn't tell. All I heard after was another guy yelling, "Hey, fuck that guy, get that piece of crap out of here, like kick him out." So like some of the crowd was like calling him out on it, and I don't know if he actually got removed, but that, like you said, after the match, that was when
I think some people did get removed because the atmosphere changed after this match, and unfortunately Leo got hurt, and I don't think he's wrestled since.
No, so Leo got curb stomped, absolutely destroyed his shoulder on it, and like he was vocal. Like this was not like the moment where Ember.
Oh, he was screaming.
Yeah, like this was not like Ember fake selling the Achilles to generate heel heat. Like there was no doubt in anyone's mind. Leo was messed up. Credit to some extent to Buddy and communicating to Frank to quickly figure out a way to get out of this match.
But even the DQ finish was so bad.
Oh, it was really bad, but I basically pushed the ref over and got DQ'd. But I mean,
curb stomping someone on a chair was totally fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, we talked about it last week as far as refs go with like interference spots and stuff like that. It just makes your ref look like a dumbass, especially to call DQ on something right after like 3 things happened that should have been DQs. But
I mean, it was super obvious why he was doing it, though. It was a secret to no one. They needed to scramble.
I thought it was a botch at first that they just threw away. And then it was just like, oh, no, he was really hurt. And then everything kind of fell into place.
Oh, yeah. No, as soon as Leo crumpled, I mean, I'd actually forgotten this was the event he got hurt at. Like when I watched this, we knew about it from reading, but when we got the Blu-rays in and I was watching, I'd completely forgotten this is where Leo got hurt. So it was a total surprise to me. And as soon as he hit the ground, it's
Yep.
like, oh man, he is not like, could see his shoulder, like the way it was sitting, like nothing was right there. So it was obvious right away that like they had to rush to some type of a finish. They kind of have to ad lib again
Well,
later, but
I think he blamed it on the ring being so slick
gee, I
after
wonder
the
why the
drinks were
ring was
thrown.
slick.
Right.
If
So
if you were at a show and you think you paid your ticket so you can do whatever you want, fuck off and meet me in the parking lot, and I'll do whatever I want.
it's
Like ridiculous.
yeah, that kind of stuff's
Thankfully,
unacceptable.
we move on to much greener pastures from here, and the show definitely takes off to another gear. We get Mike Bailey going over again pre-combat club Wheeler Yuta. Mike Bailey is just amazing.
I'm running out of roses to throw at
There's-
the guy.
I don't even know what to say about the match. It's a Mike Bailey match. They're all a little bit different. Yeah, he has his spots. They're all a little different, and they're all kind of amazing. I love the Wheeler made me laugh my ass off right at the start of the match. Bailey goes for his first like kick to the shin of Wheeler, and Wheeler just goes, "Shit, that hurts."
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that was real. He's had his moment of like, oh crap, this is gonna suck. And oh, that gave me a good laugh. Again, far
No,
change from
he's-
the Wheeler we have now, who's just like full on.
No,
like,
he
yeah,
Chuck Taylor
slice me
definitely gave
across
him
the
advice.
face,
Yeah.
but it gave me a laugh. I popped for that line, and yeah, great match overall.
Yeah, these guys had really, really great chemistry. And I had totally forgotten that this was a match. So whenever it came up after that dud following the injury, I was just like, oh, sweet.
Yeah,
Dude, this is
Boa!
going to be a ton of fun. Yeah. And as much as that previous match and the injury killed the show, this immediately
back
picked
to
it
life.
right back up. Yeah, Yuta was great. So to kind of put a wrap on him since he's done in this tournament, I was very impressed with him. He's like 2022 is going to be the launching pad for hopefully a really long and fun career from the guy. His technical style is so much fun to watch.
Absolutely.
It's so good.
All right, we are now into the semifinals. Daniel Garcia going over Black Taurus. Interesting. I mean, just the way the bracket works, but interesting pairing. Little mighty Garcia going against one of the bigger men in the tournament.
I mean, it just gives him
Yeah,
a Goliath to scalp.
absolutely.
So
Yeah, I think they both played their roles well in this match. It kept the momentum going. No complaints at all. I like Taurus. He's got a lot to offer. I think he's one of those people that, you know, maybe isn't the most well known at this point as someone who can really go, and he's legit. Like
Mhm.
he's not just a woolly mammoth in a costume, like or whatever she's supposed to be, like a bull, I guess.
Taurus is awesome. This match itself was awesome. I really like the fact that Taurus was getting frustrated he can't put Garcia away, and so
Yeah.
like he kept like escalating the damage that he was doing and kept doing riskier and riskier spots. I can't think of a big man I've ever enjoyed more when it comes to aerial attacks. Maybe Vader, but it's just every time. No, Black Taurus is better
Yeah.
than Vader on the top rope. Like
I mean,
anytime he goes to the top turnbuckle, something awesome's going to happen. With Vader, it was really just the splash.
Yeah.
But dude, Black Taurus is going up there giving like avalanche presses onto people, like just launching everyone all over the place. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
all right.
So unfortunately, he was done because I could have watched another 3 Black Taurus matches.
Our second semifinal match itself is extremely brief, but there is some preamble. Mike Bailey comes out, was supposed to face Leo Rush. At this point, Leo has actually been taken to the hospital. He's no longer even in the building. So Buddy Matthews gets to advance by default, and you know, let's polish a turd and find a way to make this a story. Buddy Matthews now has the great idea that, hey, I can just default my way to the Bola title. I don't need to actually defeat anybody. So he beats the absolute snot out of Bailey, stomps on him with the chair all before the bell rings, you know, does the spot where he sandwiches the chair and smashes the other chair into it. So completely trying to destroy Bailey's would have been his left leg.
Yeah, it was his left knee.
Yeah. So then, refs are like, do you want to go? Do you want to go? Bailey says, yeah, like I'll like ring the bell. I'm going to do this. Bailey's literally like on the ground when the bell rings. Buddy comes over. Bailey sneaks a roll up. 1, 2, 3. Match is over.
Immediately over.
Immediately over. That was a 5-second match, likely the shortest in PWG history, but I'm not actually certain.
It makes me wonder what the booking here was going to be.
With Leo? Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's no way that they would have done the exact same angle with Leo Rush attacking him with a chair.
No.
That said, as much as I'm not really a big fan of Leo Rush, I can appreciate him for what he is.
Mhm.
Leo Rush versus Mike Bailey is a dope match.
Oh, absolutely. Wish we
so-
could have gotten it.
Yeah, so hopefully we see Leo Rush wrestle again and Bailey's at the top of that list. Yeah, this was fine.
I know.
They made the best out of it that
Yep.
they could, given the situation. I would have been very concerned to even give Buddy a microphone again after what happened the last time, but they rolled into it after those
Yeah.
Jagovs got kicked out, so it's fine for what it is. And it
Yeah.
also set up the main event where Garcia is going to go up against a quote unquote injured Mike Bailey.
Yeah, so we set up the story. For a brief intermission before the main event, we get the 8-man tag. Team Jonah, which was Jonah, Blake Christian, Kevin Blackwood, and Ray Horace, go over Team Bandito, which was Bandito, Cartwheel, JD Drake, and Lee Moriarty. This was your typical PWG multi-man crazy fun spot fest with just all the nonsensical things in the world. Blake Christian brought the remote control spot back.
Mhm.
A couple very fun moments with that got a giggle out of me, moving the person so you chop your teammate by mistake. The part I really like, we set Jack on the top rope, paused him, and then Jack did the moonsault onto no one. It was like, oh no, what did I do? So silly PWG stuff that happens, but really fun match, some cool spots in it, and it was a nice break between the semis and the finals.
Huge mistake to not call this the Chuck Taylor Memorial Tag Team match. This was a lot of fun. Last week, we talked about, the balance of comedy and wrestling and, how do you mix those two together? And, in this match, they went together like lamb and tuna fish, or what? Do you prefer spaghetti and meatball?
I hate Adam Sandler.
Yeah, I can cut that.
I really hate Adam Sandler. That's my
Yeah.
sidebar.
This match was really good. It had the prototypical, two people match up against each other, then
Yeah.
they tag out and their counterparts go up against each other. So it was kind of formulaic, but it was a ton of fun. Spot of the entire weekend is Jack Cartwheel going up to the balcony and
Yes.
diving onto all of the opponents. And then I thought that was just going to be the spot.
Yeah,
And then
but
Blake Christian jumps out like with a springboard cutter
yeah,
before he can even land.
that was
I
awesome.
think the crowd was like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah, well, everyone you saw
couldn't believe it.
Jack, and it was like, all right, he's doing the Angelico Lucha Underground spot. Here we go, off the balcony for you. And
Well,
then,
it wasn't as smooth.
no, nothing.
Angelico
nothing
has
is
made an entire career. of
nothing
that
is
spot.
as smooth as Angelico.
Mm.
But, really fun match, absolutely hilarious spot. And Jack chugged a beer right before it too. He did the
I know.
Sandman Stone Cold spot, just
I
chugs a
know.
beer and leaps off the stage.
It was
That ain't
great.
living the dream of getting you a return booking nothing well. There's his Angelico moment. The beer made it his moment, so he's got his career set up now. But that leads us into
How funny would it be if he becomes the Sandman of PWG, where
Oh
his
my
music
God.
plays and then cut to the balcony and he does a cartwheel into frame and chugs a beer?
But that means Super Dragon's going to actually have to shell out for the rights so we can hear the song, because we can't do the typical PWG video entrances if that's the line we're going. Anyways, we go to the main event to crown the 2022 Bola champion. Story of the match, Mike Bailey's coming in all taped up, limping around like crazy. Can he even go? Daniel Garcia's trying to plead with Knox, like what is he doing? Like, I'm gonna kill him. Like, what do you? Don't let him start the match. Just tell him to forfeit. Give me the title. Bailey says, nope, I'm going. They proceed to have an absolute banger of a match. Bailey sells this leg like a madman the entire time. And in the end, Daniel Garcia gets the win over Mike Bailey and becomes the 2022 Bola champion.
My one nitpick in this match. So Bailey fighting through the leg injury obviously gets sympathy from the fans and the crowd is supporting him. And they start booing Daniel Garcia. And he's not even necessarily working heel. He's just like, at that point, I would have loved for him to do something like, what do you want me to do? Like, the ref won't stop the match. Like, what do you want? Like, this dude wants to wrestle.
Yeah.
I'm here to wrestle. And there were some spots where he kind of worked a little heel. He definitely worked the knee.
Yep.
But Bailey selling was so good throughout the entire match. It was basically like, he has to use his knee. Like, if you know Mike Bailey, it's all about kicks. And so anytime that said, probably did the shooting star into like the Meteora knees. Probably about 12 times too many if his knee was really that hurt. But the match itself was awesome. I absolutely loved it. I don't think this is hyperbolic. I think it's my favorite PWG final, or it's my favorite Bola final ever. The 3-way elimination match can be pretty clunky at the end of a really, really long, tiresome tournament. The fact that there was just a setup story for this match, as simple as just working a body part. And 2, like, these guys have awesome chemistry. I have to see them wrestle again, whenever both of them are quote unquote healthy. Again, a Bailey heel turn in PWG that might be a direction to go in. On the next show, lost another match. And so it's just like, they're not protecting him at all. So if he flips a switch and like the second half of the year is this like crazy cool heel turn that no one but me and you saw coming, that would be rad. And that would be a really good challenger. In most promotions, beating the champion would guarantee you a title shot, but not in PWG. And well, speaking of the shows that just happened, Daniel Garcia won the PWG championship from Bandito in a match that I cannot wait to see. So we'll be talking about that one 3 months from now.
Yep. 3 months and 2 weeks for shipping.
Yeah. The tweet was like, hey, the pre-order's up. And I'm like, yeah, I bet it is.
It's not a secret. Everybody knows.
I'll cave and pre-order it. Daniel Garcia moving forward. Well, after the match, Daniel Garcia, streamers are flying, the lights are strobing. He basically says pro wrestling is back and how he wants to be the greatest pro wrestler, even though in AEW he's doing like the total like anti-wrestling gimmick. It's going to be really fun throughout the year to see him balance those two, where it's just like, for his day job, he's like, oh yeah, no, this
I'm a sports entertainer.
And then, once every 3 months, he flies out to California and just kicks ass as a pro wrestler. If people aren't familiar with Daniel Garcia, he is probably going to be the guy in 2023, I would assume. Yeah.
And he's so freaking young. Like, it's unbelievable how young he still is and how good he is for that age and how much time he lost because of the car crash. Right. Like, he's younger, that his developmental time in wrestling is younger than he is, and he's already a youngin'. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, that wraps up Bola. Yep.
The 29th Best of the Super Juniors was announced, and we've decided to cover it for the show because let's talk about fun stuff, and
it's our show. We can do what we want.
We can do whatever we want, literally. So look forward to our WrestleMania Backlash review next week. Best of the Super Junior 29 runs from May 15th to June 3rd. Block A is Ryusuke Taguchi, Yo, Clark Connors, Hiromu Takahashi, Yoshinobu Kanemaru.
Now he's Hiromi forever.
Hiromi. Alex Zane, Francesco Akira, Taiji Ishimori, and Show. The B block is Master Wado off to a strong start. Robbie Eagles, Teton, Bushi, El Desperado, Dookie. Yep, Dookie, El Lindemann, Wheeler Yuta, TJP, and El Phantasmo. Yeah, in our little corner of the internet, someone was like, wait a second, this dude's name is literally Dookie. We're like, yeah, and he's grimier than that. Any of those matchups you're looking forward to?
So many. I think more than anything, I'm really interested to see what Francesco Akira brings to the table. He's brought in as Osprey's kind of new Super Junior disciple, one of the, I guess, missing piece from the Empire. Although I think TJP is also technically in the Empire, like United Empire. Yeah. So
they're going to be a junior tag team.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to see what Akira brings. Other person I'm really
he's good. He's good.
He seems good. I'm really excited. The other person I'm really excited for actually is El Lindemann. I haven't been able to watch him wrestle since the little stint they did in AEW early on. And
dude, I miss him and T-Hawk.
Him and T-Hawk were so freaking impressive. So I am really, really excited for that. Lindemann and Yuta is one I'm really looking forward to. I mean, it's a match that happens anyways, but Robbie Eagles and El Phantasmo is going to be a good one. Show and Yo, now that Show has defected to Bullet Club, is
well, those matches are not as cool as you think they would be. I've seen a good amount of them. Now that Show is in House of Torture, the interference spots are so bad. True. It's so bad.
And so at this point, I don't even, is House of Torture still officially Bullet Club? Have they completely defected? What is going on there?
I don't think know. Yeah, they're just not talking about it.
Yeah, it's just kind of,
I mean, we might see, because let's see. Yeah, Show goes up against Taiji Ishimori. So yeah, we'll see it. Yeah, which, by the way, brand new junior champion.
Yeah, Taiji
Ishimori. So who do you got winning the blocks?
Oh boy. I think I've still got Takahashi coming out of the A block. I think Akira is going to put up a very strong one. You could make an argument it should be Ishimori because he's a champion, but I think Takahashi comes out of the A block, and B block is where it gets really, really, really tough for me, because it feels like a cop out to just make it Phantasmo and Takahashi. But it's hard for me to pick someone else out of that block right now, because like Desperado to go right back up against Ishimori, that seems like a waste of an entire tournament.
Well, it is definitely possible. I think Hiromu is the pretty obvious winner of Block A. If it was going to be someone else, I don't even know where I would start. Have Ishimori win to be the dominant champion, but I look at Block B and it's literally only El Desperado or El Phantasmo that have a shot. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's Hiromu El Phantasmo, like you said. But Hiromu Desperado is so much fun. I would be totally fine running that back. So